All right, go for it.
Hey y'all, he's Marvin and I'm Daisy Pooh. And I don't know about where y'all from, but here it's a fun gray day, just the kind of day when it's perfect to binge watch a series. And Marvin, I just may have the perfect series for you. So grab yourselves a heaping bowl of hot buttered popcorn, sit back and enjoy yourselves as Marvin and I tell you about what we thought about Netflix series Avatar, The Last Airbender. Marvin, why don't you start by telling us a little bit more about the movie?
Yeah, it's a Netflix movie released in 2024. It's about a young boy named Avatar, and he must master the four elements to save the world. It's rated PG and it has 8 episodes, about an hour long each. Daisy Pooh, I really liked this series. It was a spectacular adventure, through a fantasy world that'll dazzle your senses. I think most of the family would enjoy this movie, except for the youngest kids due to the violence and death. But if you enjoyed the cartoon or movie, then this is a must see. I gave it 3 fuzzy fingers.
I watched the original Avatar anime series and I loved it. So I was a little worried that this one would have too many inconsistencies because, bringing series to life, often you have to leave things out or change things. But I was happily surprised by the wild ride of the sweet friendships and the epic battles between good versus evil and the incredible journey of a 100-year-old avatar coming of age. And despite the little inconsistencies with the original, I am anticipating the next season, which is why I gave Avatar The Last Airbender 3 fuzzy fingers. Just
Wow.
like you, Marvin.
Yeah.
The Avatar world is an incredibly diverse world. The original was set in an Asian world, and purists may have liked them to cast the Asian culture in this world, but I'm thankful they cast people from all different cultures in this movie. All throughout the series, they have people representing different cultures, and it just made for a more dynamic cast. I didn't recognize any of the actors as being well known actors, but that was okay. Some of the child actors were a little weak at times, possibly due to their age, and may have been cast more for their physical appearance rather than their acting abilities. And Aang's performance could have been stronger, but he shines in the tender moments. So all is forgiven, and his acting was mostly obscured by the large ensemble cast around him. I look forward to seeing his and the other children's acting abilities develop through upcoming seasons. And I'm just looking forward to all the characters developed through the upcoming seasons. It was just exciting. What did you think about the cast?
Yeah, they already announced season 2 and 3, so that's great news. Yeah, I liked most of the characters in this series. It was a very large cast, and some of the supporting actors shined the brightest to me. I said I liked most characters, and it wasn't a casting problem. I think a couple of the characters were iffy, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Something I really liked about this is the stylized visuals and CGI used. It really sucked you in. The scenes and the creatures, they all looked like CGI, but because of the style, it worked. Since the story all happens in the fantasy world, your eyes will be delighted with the vastly different scenery.
I thought the cinematography of Avatar The Last Airbender was stunning, drawing us into the world of the airbenders. And the CGI brought to life the magical, otherworldly elements, which made this story just shine. Oh, that Fire Nation! Woo! Woo, woo, woo! The CGI captured the strength and power of those firebenders. And ooh, The iridescent, beautiful water nation with its epic battles. Oh, the CGI did not disappoint me. Overall, they did a super job of bringing to life this beloved Avatar Airbender series. I noticed right away the differences between the first series and the Netflix version, especially how in the first episode they seemed to reveal most of the plot in the first episode instead of the slow reveal that I remember from the original. I noticed numerous discrepancies throughout the series, but I believe viewers, especially those who have not watched the original series and those who, like me, are able to view it with an easygoing, easy to please, open minded attitude, will enjoy the light-hearted dialogue between characters, the compelling storyline, and its overtly feministic overtones would be easy to overlook because it is part of the storyline. So, Marvin, did you have a hard time not comparing it to the original?
I saw, a couple seasons of the animated series and the movie, but, the good thing about being old is I've forgotten a lot about them. you know, I actually really like this live action series compared to the other ones. I think it's more palatable by older people like me. While I enjoyed the script, and I didn't mind the changes that you mentioned, I enjoyed most of the characters. There were a couple where I felt their motivations were written really flat, like one dimensional or shallow, even. I think this is the way in the animation and the movie as well. So it's just bothered me a little bit. Uh, Even though the backstory of those characters, tried to back up the motivations, I just felt it didn't flesh out well or was sophomoric. It's not apparent in every episode, so when it does rear its ugly head, you wince a little bit and you move on and enjoy the rest of the story. I'm not going to tell you which of these characters I'm talking about, but watch it and guess and tell me in the comments which you think they were. Being a series, every episode didn't have the same director, and I have to give him props. It wasn't like it was noticeable as you moved through the different episodes. It felt good all the way through.
Well, you brought up some good points there, Marvin. Uh,
Thanks.
the sound score I thought really added something to the movie. With its ethereal overtones and the beautiful orchestral movements for the grand vistas. And sometimes they had scary, ominous sounds during the frightening battles. I didn't find it distracting in any way either, which I look for that in a movie. I
Yeah.
hate when the movie overshadows the words and overshadows the scenes. But this was just stunning sometimes, the music with the visuals. What did you think of the sound score, Marvin?
I like the sound as well. Kind of like you mentioned, it was like atmospheric or supporting of the story. It's not like there was catchy songs that your kids are gonna start singing. In this, it's more of a an adult or mature series, and the sound supports that. One thing I don't like a lot about a movies or series is, when they get politically correct or
Oh,
woke or
yes.
anti-Christian. I hate that, but
Oh,
for the
definitely.
for the most part, everything in this series fit the story, and it's a fantasy world. Things are different. But there was one episode that there was some forced side story about woman power. I think it was little shoehorned in. They could have just done it better. They kind of made it a Marvel Endgame sort of groaner. But even though it felt forced, it worked. And honestly, you can just move past it. It wasn't as bad as Endgame, but you'll notice it.
I agree with what you said, Marvin. The original one had some very sexist undertones in it, and they took that out completely and replaced it with more feminism. And it was very obvious in one of the episodes, like you said. And there were some other PC woke moments as well, which I believe were not in the original storyline. It's also worthy of mention that there were adult matters such as death and killing, revenge, frightening moments and monsters, and some kissing, which parents might be wise to keep their young children from viewing, as Marvin said. So I would say, parents, watch with your children and maybe not for young viewers. My final thoughts on Avatar The Last Airbenders is that it's an epic fantasy adventure with stunning graphics and sweet storyline that at times gave me tears and goosebumps. Woo! I would say it's a sure winner for adults and children over the age of 8 who enjoy anime, fantasy, and adventure. Just like me, it will leave you wanting more, which is why I gave it the 3 fuzzy fingers. What about you, Marvin?
Well, if you like fantasy adventure or the previous versions of Last Airbender, then I highly recommend you watch this new Netflix series. Pop some corn, grab a blanket, and enjoy each episode. This series is really worth your time. And like Daisy Pooh said, maybe the youngest kids, but parental guidance is suggested. Thank you for stopping by to hear our thoughts about the Netflix series Avatar: The Last Airbender. We hope that you enjoyed our take on it. Please let us know in the comments. And like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Don't forget the buttered popcorn.
Yeah.